Hello students, welcome to KENE'S Educare, a group of KENE solutions. This is part 4 of lesson number 14, Natural Resources. So in this lesson, we are studying about the resources that are naturally available to us, and we are even considering what are the factors that we humans are putting it, because of which this natural resources are somehow in danger, right? Because we studied about air pollution, water pollution, right? And now we will be even studying on soil pollution and all. So it means we are somehow damaging our natural resources. We are the reason because of which the natural resources, they are getting like disturbed, and there's a lot that natural, you can say, the resources are suffering, right? Because as we know that some of the resources around us, they are renewable, whereas some are non-renewable. If you remember the first part of the lesson where we discussed on all the basic concepts with respect to renewable and non-renewable resources, so renewable resources are the one which can be renewed. Okay, like if it ends, if you are using it once, you can reuse it again. So that is, you are renewing it again and you are using it. And non-renewable resources are the one which you cannot renew after using. Once you have used it, you have exhausted it, you cannot renew it again, it's over. Okay, like our petrol, diesel and all. So we have to make sure that whatever nature has given to us, we are not wasting it, we are using it whenever it has been required. Because as I told you that non-renewables are only few, right? Sorry, renewables are only few, because not all resources around us can be renewed, right? So we have to make sure that we are preserving them and we are using them in the best way possible without disturbing or damaging it. So far we studied about the resources. We studied that there's a biosphere, the earth is a biosphere in short, and it has three different spheres in it, that is lithosphere. Okay, we have lithosphere, hydrosphere and atmosphere. So lithosphere is the land, then hydrosphere is water, and the last that we have is atmosphere, which includes the air. Then after discussing about the spheres, we discussed on the next thing, that was with respect to atmosphere. What our atmosphere exactly has? So our atmosphere has air, which is a mixture of gas, right? And there are different kinds of mixtures which are present in it, right? Like we have nitrogen, which is present in air, oxygen is present, carbon dioxide is present, and there are other gases as well, right? So we even discussed on the composition of air, that our air has 78% of nitrogen, 21% of oxygen, then 0.9% of argon, and the rest 0.01% are the other gases which are present in the air, right? Then we discussed on water, and we studied about the cloud formation over there, that including through two different processes, that is evaporation and condensation. The small droplets will come, like, combine together and will form a big, you can say, big droplet, and that is how the cloud has been made and rainfall occurs, right? Then we discussed on water pollution as well, and how water is acting as a universal solvent kind of thing, right? Then after that we went started with formation of soil, how exactly the soil has been formed from rock. So I want each one of you to please revise whatever notes you have taken starting from part 1, because today we'll be starting with soil pollution, soil erosion and all, and then we have the 4 biological cycles to discuss. So we will be even doing that, but before that, please revise everything that we have written, that you have taken a note of in your book, everyone. I hope every one of you are revising it. Everything, the minute details that you have taken in part 1, you need to revise that as well. So now we started the lesson by discussing on the resources on the earth which are available, right? So I want each one of you to please go through the slide. You need to revise each and every part that has been given. After this, we discussed on air, that is atmosphere. So I want each one of you to please go through it quickly. I hope you are going through the slide. You need to even go through the composition of air that has been given. Okay? I hope every one of you are going through the slide. After this, we discussed on the role of atmosphere in climate control, and then we discussed on the movement of air, how exactly the wind moves, right? So I want you all to please go through this slide as well. After this, we discussed on rain, and if you can see, the cloud formation is even been explained in the diagram. So I want you all to please go through it quickly. I hope every one of you are going through the slide. After this, we discussed on air pollution in detail, and we even discussed on that how exactly air pollution has been caused, what are the different causes of air pollution, right? So I just want each one of you to please go through it quickly. I hope you all are going through it. After this, air pollution. See, for air pollution, you should be knowing the causes, how exactly air pollution has been caused, and along with that, along with causes, you should be knowing the effect. Like if air pollution is happening, what are the effects of air pollution in your environment, and what harmful effect does it have in on us as well, because we human beings are also getting impacted because of it, right? So though the content in your textbook given is different, make sure you all are like knowing the causes and the effects. That is what I want from you. Okay. After this, we discussed on water, and we even studied the reason why water is called as a wonder liquid, right? So I want each one of you to please go through it, like why water is considered to be a wonder liquid. You have to even go through water pollution, okay? I hope every one of you are going through this slide. I hope every one of you are going through the slide. After this, we discussed on formation of soil. So please go through it thoroughly because you can get a 4 marks question to write on formation of soil. Okay, so make sure you know each and every step, how exactly water is entering the rocks and how exactly the changes are taking place. Okay. I hope every one of you are going through it. Till the next part, you should be able to explain this in your own words. See, you should be knowing first how what will happen. What is the first step over here? Soil will be formed by, like, big rocks on the mountains. So those big rocks of the mountains will break down, and that can happen through three different processes, either by physical process, chemical process, or biological process. Okay, then what will happen, that the rocks, they will get heat from the sun during the daytime, because of which the rock will expand, and suddenly what will happen, during the night time, the rock will get cooled. So because of this heat and, like, coolness that the rock is getting, while it gets heat, it expands, and as soon as it cools again, it contracts. So because of this expansion and contraction, what happens, the rocks will crack and will break into small pieces. Okay, now what will happen, because there are certain cracks in the rock, water will easily enter the rock and will get freezed. Okay, and as and when the water is entering the rock and is getting freezed, the rock will expand again, because of which the cracks will widen, and again what will happen, the rock will break down into smaller pieces. Okay, now because it has water, as the water will melt, the flowing water will carry the rock pieces, and while they are flowing, they will rub against each other, because of which they will even get into smaller pieces again, like more smaller pieces will be formed out of it. Okay, so strong winds can also break the rocks now, because they are very small now. So if there are strong winds can also break the rocks into smaller pieces, and can even carry them from one place to another. Okay, then the roots of large tree grow into the cracks and break into smaller pieces again. So we have lichens. You might have seen lichens also grow near this rock. They also produce some substance, because of which the rock will get into powdered form and then will become a soil. So lichen is having an important role over here, because the smaller pieces of rock, they are getting converted to powder, and that is because of lichens itself, right? So lichens are very important. And remember one thing, that you can get objective questions like, when is the rock expanding and when is the like rock contracting. So you should be knowing exactly when expansion and contraction is taking place. Okay, So after this formation of soil, the next thing that we need to discuss today is about the composition of the soil, like what exactly the soil is made up of. Okay, now as we know that soil is made from rock particles, right, from a big rock. So soil is going to be a mixture of rock particle, decayed organism called humus, living organisms. There might be some microbes which will get mixed, and some other insects, which insects and like you can say living organism which will be present in the soil. Then apart from living organism, we can have minerals, air and water. So it's not that soil is like naturally just a one component present in them. There are so many components like rock particles, decayed organisms, which we know it as humus. Then we have living organisms, minerals, air and water. Okay, so soil is made up of all these mixtures. Then after that, we have soil pollution. So now what exactly soil pollution is? Like you studied about air pollution, that you know the normal components of air. Like the same way you know the normal components of soil. That soil can have rock particles, it can have decayed organisms called humus, it can have living organisms, minerals, air and water. Right? But if anything other than this, okay, which are harmful to the soil gets mixed into the soil, we call that as soil pollution. But apart from that, see, we just left one sentence. The amount of mineral, humus, air and water are the factors which decides the biodiversity in that area. So the biodiversity means, bio means living and diversity is variation. So what is the life variation that is existing, what kind of diversity that is existing in that area, will depend upon the amount of mineral that is present in the soil, amount of humus, air and water, because these are the factors which decides the biodiversity in that area. Okay. Okay. So I already discussed about soil pollution and I hope you have written about the composition of soil. So soil pollution, as I told you, apart from the normal components of soil, if anything harmful gets into the soil and it affects the quality of the soil, then we know it as soil pollution, right? So if we can see the definition for soil pollution, it is addition of harmful substances which affects the fertility of the soil and kills the diversity of living organism, then we call that as soil pollution. And why this soil pollution occurs mostly, it is because of excessive use of fertilizers and pesticides. So if we are using more of fertilizers and pesticides into the soil for making our yield more, okay, then it is going to affect this, and you can say that is how soil pollution occurs. Okay, then after that we have, like, it is also going to kill the earthworm and bacteria which makes the soil rich in humus. Then the removal of useful components and addition of harmful substances reduces the fertility of the soil. Now fertility of the soil is very important because through that soil only the plants are going to grow, right? And we will get the food, because we are all dependent on plants and animals, and plant is one of the major aspects in our life because we are mostly dependent on plants for food, right? I hope you all are writing about soil pollution and you have understood this. After this, the next thing that we need to discuss is about soil erosion. How exactly soil erosion is occurring. So see, the soil gets accumulated at one place, but what happens, like it moves from one place to another because of certain reason, because of flowing water and wind, then we call that as soil pollution, right? So whenever the soil is getting moved away from one place to other because of either flowing water or because of wind, we call that as soil pollution, right? Then we have large scale deforestation, that is also causing soil pollution. Now deforestation is clearing of the forest, what we are doing for personal use, for industrial use. We are cutting off the we are cutting off the trees and we are clearing up the forest, right? So that is what deforestation is, and this large scale deforestation is also leading to soil erosion. Now soil erosion can be reduced or prevented by vegetative cover on the ground, then afforestation by planting more and more plants, construction of bunds, terraces and dams. Okay, so this is how we can like help ourselves and help soil, because these are all natural resources that we have, right? And soil erosion is going to be one of the major concern for us, so we need to make sure that we are taking care of it. Okay, then we have an activity for discussing the same thing, that is effect of flowing water on the topsoil. So what we need to do is we need to take two trays of same size and we need to fill those trays with soil. Then plant mustard or green gram in one of the trays and water both the trays for few days till the first tray is covered by plant growth. Till the time you can observe how exactly the growth is taking place, we have to observe, we have to water them regularly for few days. Okay, then after that, the tilt both the trays at some angle and pour equal amount of water gently on both the trays. What we'll do, we will pour equal amount of water gently on both the trays, and more soil is carried out of the tray which does not have plant growth. So if plant growth won't be visible, then in that case you will see that more soil will be carried out from one place to another, and this shows that vegetative cover reduces the soil erosion. So we have to make sure that we are planting more and more trees, because that is one of the way How can we, you can say, reduce soil erosion? So planting more and more trees is also one of the way. Okay. I hope you all are writing it. I hope you all are going through this slide. So now the next thing that we are going to study is about the biogeological cycles that we have. Okay, so we have four different types of cycles that we need to discuss. First is water cycle, second one is nitrogen cycle, third one is carbon cycle, and lastly we have oxygen cycle. Okay, so we will be discussing on all the four different types of biogeochemical cycles, and you have to make sure that you know about the cycles in short already, right? So we will be discussing two cycles in each part, so that is how, or if possible all four cycles in one class. Let's see however will be suitable, we will do it like that way. Okay, so we will be discussing on water cycle, nitrogen cycle, carbon cycle and oxygen cycle in detail in the next class. And we will be even discussing on the other two parts that we have, that is on ozone layer and greenhouse gas effect. Let me just show you. See, water cycle is bit like detailed, along with how exactly you need to draw the water cycle. So I don't think so we will be able to do all cycles in one part. Okay, so we'll do two cycles in each part. So we'll be discussing on water cycle in detail, and then we have nitrogen cycle in detail. Now for nitrogen cycle, always remember that plants cannot use the atmospheric nitrogen directly. Though in the air we have 78% of nitrogen which is present, but plants cannot use them directly. So what they do is they need to convert that atmospheric nitrogen into usable form, that is into nitrates and nitrites, and then only they will be able to use that nitrogen. So over here we will be discussing on how exactly the nitrogen cycle works, and for that we have nitrification, denitrification, ammonification, all of the processes which help the plant in converting the atmospheric nitrogen into usable form. Okay, then after that we will be discussing on carbon cycle in detail, and this is how you will be drawing the carbon cycle in nature, and this is how it exists. Then after carbon cycle we have oxygen cycle to discuss in detail how exactly it works. So we know photosynthesis and respiration, we will be discussing that in detail, how exactly the oxygen cycle functions and it works. Okay, and after that we have greenhouse gas effect, and lately we have ozone layer. So these are the two other topics that we will be discussing after discussing on biogeological cycles in detail. Okay, then after ozone layer we have the summary of what exactly we have discussed in the whole lesson. We will be discussing on that in detail, and after that we have few exercise questions which I am going to show you all one by one in short, and I want each one of you to please go through all the exercise questions that we have. Okay, So I want you all to please go through the exercise questions quickly, everyone. And this is the last question that we are going to discuss at the end of the lesson, natural resources. And I hope whatever we discussed today in this part of the lesson, natural resources, every one of you are very much clear with it. Okay, now the rest of the part I'm going to continue that in the next part, but make sure you are clear with all the basic concepts that we have done so far, because as you know, we will be starting with the biogeological cycle, right, which is again very important. So for that, for understanding it well, all the four cycles, that is water cycle, nitrogen cycle, carbon cycle, and oxygen cycle, you have to be thorough with all the previous concepts. Though they are not that hard, this lesson is very easy actually. You don't have to put much effort in understanding the concepts. This is all natural things that we are learning, right? So make sure you keep on revising and you are able to write the answers on your own as well now. This is what I expect from you. Okay, so for that you will have to keep on practicing, and now whatever has been left, I will start that in the next part. Thank you everyone.